Hello champions, welcome to the next lecture on the partial differential equation. Today I will teach you how you can classify the second order partial differential equation. Myself Dr. Harish Garg, you can follow and subscribe my YouTube channel where you can find the partial differential equation playlist. As you can see, we have already discussed what is the order, what is the first order, and the last lecture was on classification of the PDE, motivations, and the concept of the second order partial differential equation. Now, first of all, if I consider u is my dependent variable, fine, and x and y or the t is called as independent variable, then our target is to classify the second order partial differential equations. Here the coefficients a, b, c up to the g are dependent on the variables like x, in this case y is the independent variable, and u, fine, and the maximum order occurring in the equation number 1 must be of order 2. The highest derivative is occurring is of order 2. Then our target is to classify the given partial differential equations into the elliptical, hyperbolic, and parabolic. How we can classify that? A very simple rule is we can classify the partial differentials based on the principal part of the partial differential equation. What is the principal part? I already explained you with the help of the example in my last lectures about the second order partial differential equation. The principal part means the highest order derivative occurring in the partial differential equations is called as the principal part. Based on this principal part, we can classify the partial differential equations. For example, अगर आप पहली एग्जांपल देखो, हाईएस्ट ऑर्डर डेरिवेटिव कितना है इसके अंदर? 2. कौन कौन सी टर्म है? फर्स्ट 2 टर्म्स. Look at the second example. What is the highest order derivative occurring in the second partial differential equations? Again the 2. How many terms? Which involvement of the second order? First 2 terms only. While in the third example, what is the highest order derivative is 1. And how many terms involve? First 2 terms. So the color which I highlighted with the red color is called as the principal part of the required partial differential equation. Based on this principal part, we can classify the elliptical, hyperbolic, ultra hyperbolic as well. Now, based on the partial differential equation, make sure students, आज का लेक्चर का ट्रिक जो है वो सिर्फ और सिर्फ सेकेंड ऑर्डर पार्शियल डिफरेंशियल पे लगेगा. हाईएस्ट ऑर्डर मस्ट बी 2. कोफिशिएंट ए बी सी मे बी 0 और मे नॉट बी 0, बट प्रोवाइडेड ए मस्ट बी नॉन 0. Then we can classify the partial differential equations only based on the principal part. That means we can skip the remaining terms. So, and we can define the discriminant of the second order partial differential is b square minus 4ac. Now, based on this discriminant, that is a delta, we can classify the partial differential into the 4 category: elliptical, parabolic, hyperbolic and ultra hyperbolic. हो सकता है कि आपने नाम ultra hyperbolic का पहले ना सुना हो, but you can watch this video and till the end you must know the concept of the ultra hyperbolic. Now, if the coefficients a, b and c are the constants, for example, if my coefficients are my constant, then whatsoever the nature of the partial differential equations, elliptical, hyperbolic and parabolic, that must be of the same nature. On the other hand, if any one of them is dependent on the independent variable x and y, then the partial differential equation is classified into the different regions as the different types. For example, if I write as a general linear partial differential equation of the n variables, यहाँ पे तक हमने क्या डिस्कस करा है? These are all are my 2 variables partial differential equation, second order 2 variables. But if you are interested to write in terms of the n variables, then we can write in terms of this quantity. Fine. clearly say if I take n is equal to 2 in this equation, that means summation, double summation is from I varies from 1 to 2, j varies from 1 to 2, and you can easily get the equation as a del square u by del x square and so on. In this lecture, I will explain you the 3 different methods how you can classify the given partial differential equation, and that 3 different method is very useful if you are the students of the CSR net GATE examinations. Moreover, these methods are also applicable for your subjective university examinations. Fine. So based on the natures of the partial differential equation, we can classify as by using the sign of the discriminant, by using the determinant methods, and by using the eigenvalues method. For finding the classifications based on the method number 2 by using the determinants, and method number 3 by using the eigenvalue, for that we need to firstly classify, or we need to construct the matrix X. Fine. So first of all, what is the first method and how we can construct the methods? So firstly, I will explain you the first method and then with the second method. At any point, you have to compare the partial differential equations and obtain the value of A, B and C. At any point x comma y, the partial differential equation is said to be elliptic whenever your discriminant b square minus 4ac is less than 0. It comes to be the parabolic when b square minus 4ac is equal to 0, and the hyperbolic whenever b square minus 4ac is greater than 0. The second method is in order to define the determinants and the eigenvalue, and we all knows आप determinant और eigenvalue कब निकाल सकते हो किसी भी चीज का, जब सबसे पहले आप क्या बनाओगे, मैट्रिक्स A. Fine. So our first target is to construct the n cross n matrix. और वो कैसे बनाएंगे? Whenever you have a partial differential equations, look at that how many independent variables. How many इंडिपेंडेंट वेरिएबल्स. इंडिपेंडेंट वेरिएबल मतलब किन किन के साथ ये पार्शियल डेरिवेटिव्स है. एक xi के साथ है और एक xj, एंड i आर वेरीज फ्रॉम 1 to n, j इज ऑल्सो वेरीज फ्रॉम 1 to n. सो योर टारगेट इज टू कंस्ट्रक्ट n क्रॉस n. और ये इसके a है तो इसके कोफिशिएंट क्या क्या आएंगे, a11, a12 एंड सो ऑन. क्लियर. और हमारा टारगेट ही है कि इस aij की वैल्यू को कैलकुलेट करना. दिस इज अवर टारगेट. But make sure whenever you write the matrix A, the one of the beautiful property of this matrix is it is always symmetric matrix. Fine. तो मैं आपको बताऊंगा अभी इसी लेक्चर में कैसे आप इसको इजी वे में कंस्ट्रक्ट कर सकते हो. पहले मैं आपको मेथड बता देता हूं, डिटर्मिनेंट और आइगन वैल्यूज क्या है. You said any partial differential, second order partial differential equation is elliptic, parabolic and hyperbolic. Fine. Elliptic, when you find the determinant of the matrix, it is less than of the 0, or it is greater than of the 0. Sorry, it is greater than of the 0. And parabolic, whenever the determinant is equal to 0. Hyperbolic, whenever the determinant is less than 0. On the other hand, if you have the matrix A, fine. If you have the matrix A, you can find the eigenvalues of this matrix, and then based on the eigenvalue, we can say the matrix is said to be elliptic whenever all those eigenvalues are my positive, or you can say it must be have the same sign. या तो सारे positive हो और सारे less than हो. For all I. Fine. Or for all I. When you can say it's a parabolic whenever at least one of the eigenvalue is 0. At least one of the eigenvalue is 0. And hyperbolic whenever you have the odd number of the times eigenvalues are my negative. Remember students, elliptic means all the eigenvalues must have the same sign. Either it can be greater than 0 or it can be less than 0. However, in the hyperbolic, it must be the odd number of times, like -1, 2 and 3. You can see that -1 1 time negative is an odd number. But if you say -1, -2 and -3, again you can see this is an odd number. But अगर आप कहो कि सर ये इसमें भी आएगा, fine. And that for that case I will tell you the one important remark. Ultra hyperbolic, that's a very new concept for you. Ultra hyperbolic only when the eigenvalues are even number of the times negative, like -1, -2 and 3. Fine. और एक चीज अगर आपको नोट करो, आप सबको मालूम है whenever you find the product of the eigenvalue, ये किसके इक्वल होता है? The determinant of the matrix. Fine. So you clearly say when you find all these eigenvalues are positive, then you can say, and whenever one of the eigenvalues is 0, the product will be 0 and so on. But यहाँ पे एक सबसे बड़ा important point आपको दिमाग में रखना है, very important point, and that point is very useful for the CSR net, GATE and your university examination. 90% स्टूडेंट इस पॉइंट को स्किप कर देते हैं अपने दिमाग से और वो उनका आंसर गलत हो जाता है. फाइन. whenever you have a partial differential equation which consists of only two variables, then you can apply any one of the method 1. Fine. You can apply either as a method 1 by using the sign of the b square minus 4ac. You can apply the method 2 by using the determinant of the matrix. Method 3 by using the eigens value. However, whenever you have a partial differential equations of more than two variables, like you can say plus del square u upon del x into del z plus del square u upon del y square minus del square u upon del u square is 0. Clearly say how many independent variables? The independent variables are my 3, x, y and z. Then the second method, determinant method, is not sufficient to classify the partial differential equations. In that case, we can always use the method number 3 only. Fine. तब आपका method 1 भी applicable नहीं होगा. For example, if I assume the matrix A is my 4 cross 4 matrix. Fine. And if you find the eigenvalues, you can get these numbers. So clearly say it has odd number of the negative eigenvalue. The first number is my hyperbolic. Look at the second one. The even number of the negative eigenvalue. So it's an ultra hyperbolic. One of the eigenvalues 0. So that is my parabolic. Odd number of the eigenvalues are my negative. So that is my hyperbolic. Fine. And if I say the 1, 2, 3, all are my positive signs, that is my elliptical. Fine. But अगर याद रखो बच्चों, अगर आप इसको determinant method लगाते हो by using the method number 2, that is a determinant, तो अगर आप ये eigenvalues हैं, इसका determinant कितना हो जाएगा? Less than 0. So hyperbolic is fine. If you find the determinant of the second example, that is my positive, and once is a positive, तब तो ये elliptic होना चाहिए ना, लेकिन आपका आंसर क्या है? ये ultra hyperbolic. That's why whenever you have more than two independent variable, determinant method is not sufficient to compute the decision. Now, अब क्वेश्चन ये है कि how we can write the matrix A. A very simple approach I will tell you. First of all, look at that. How many independent variables? Can you identify the independent variables? Only 2, x and y. So your matrix A is my 2 cross 2. Is it fine? What are the independent variables? X, y. X, y. Coefficient of the xx. You can see this is the terms of the xx. Coefficient is my A. Similarly, y. Coefficient of the y is my C. Now this is the xy and this is the yx. Fine. Xy and yx. That is always the symmetric matrix. So what is the coefficient of the xy is b. So you can put as a half and half, so that your matrix will be symmetric. Always remember, matrix A is always symmetric matrix. Fine. So your matrix A will be A, B by 2, B by 2 and C. Look at that. How many independent variables? It has 3 independent variables. So your target is to construct 3 cross 3 matrix. Independent variables are x, y, z, x, y, z. So can you substitute the value? X of x, A, y of y, B, z of z, C. This is xy. What is the xy? Is half of the coefficient. So xy and yx are same. Yz, y and z is a e over 2, and z and y are e over 2. X and z is a f over 2 and f over 2. Therefore, matrix A is my symmetric. Fine. And once you can construct the matrix, it's a 3 cross 3. You can find the eigenvalues. Based on the nature of the eigenvalues, you can classify into the partial differential equation: elliptic, hyperbolic, parabolic. For example, so I can solve this example based on the method 1, method 2 and method 3. How many independent variables you have? Independent variables are only 2. So अगर 2 हैं तो तीनों मेथड एप्लीकेबल हो जाएंगे. Clear? सबसे पहले you can compare with a given second order linear partial differential equation. So what is the A? A is a coefficient of the uxx, 1. Coefficient of the xy is 1. C is again 1. Therefore, your b square minus 4ac, it will be 1 minus 4 into 1. That will be minus 3, which is less than 0. Therefore, your given second order partial differential equation is classified as a elliptic. This is method 1. For the second method, you can write as a matrix. So firstly, you can write is a 2 cross 2. Coefficient of the x and x 1. Coefficient of the y and y is 1. Coefficient of the x and y is half and half. So can you find the second method is a determinant? So can you find the determinants? 1 minus 1 over 4, which is equal to 3 over 4, which is greater than 0. Therefore, the given partial differential equation is again my elliptical. For the matrix A, we can find the eigenvalues. What is the formula for the eigenvalues? A minus lambda I is 0. Or we can also write as lambda square minus trace, the sum of the diagonal values, plus determinant of the eigenvalue. Determinant is my 3 by 4. So if you take the LCM, you will get as 4 lambda square minus 8 lambda plus 3 is equal to 0. Fine. And if you find the factors, 4 lambda square minus 8 lambda plus 3. So how you can factorize them? Otherwise, you can use as a minus b plus minus b square minus 4ac. ये भी लगा सकते हो आप फॉर्मूला, बट यहाँ तो फैक्टर बन जाएंगे ना 12 and 8, 4 and 6, 6 and 2, 6 and 2. Fine. So if you write as a factor, you will get 2 lambda minus 3 and 2 lambda minus 1 is 0. So your eigenvalues are my half and 3 by 2. And clearly say both the eigenvalues have same sign. Fine. तो अगर same sign है, that means your given is my elliptic. Fine. Parabolic कब होता? जब इनमें से दोनों में से कोई एक आइगन वैल्यू 0 आ जाती. और हाइपरबोलिक कब होता? जब और नंबर इन दोनों में से कोई एक आइगन वैल्यू नेगेटिव होती. दिस इज वन एग्जांपल आई हैव एक्सप्लेन यू विद द हेल्प ऑफ द थ्री मेथड्स. अगर आप मेरे से और चाहते हो कि 15 प्लस एग्जांपल के साथ और एक्सप्लेन करूं with the help of the CSR net and the gate questions, let me know in the comment box. I will upload based on your comments. Fine. Till then, I will upload the next video based on your request. As I said, you can share this video with your friends, like and comment on it. Best of luck, students. Happy learning.